Hello everybody, this is Kay. Thank you for joining me today on my channel, Gigi's Paper Treasures. I have a number of items here that I'm getting ready to put into my Etsy shop, and I thought I would just do one video kind of quickly showing all of these items, and by the time this video actually uploads, they should be in my Etsy shop. So I will link that below, link my shop below, so you can go check these out if you want to. But I'm going to do kind of a quick little flip through of these so that this video isn't too long. And I'm going to start with this one right here because this is my most recently finished item. And this one was inspired by Natasa at Treasure Books. And it's a heavily embellished junk journal with kind of graduating size pages, and you'll see as I go through what I mean by heavily embellished. I've got it bound with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch over here where I added beads to the strings. I've got beads and embellishments clipped all through it. It's just lovely. I don't know that I really want to give it up, but as usual, I can't keep everything I make. I just put a piece of this kind of organza ribbon around it, free, so you can take it off and get it out of the way. I'm going to zoom in just a smidge so you can see better. Okay, so on the front cover, I did some kind of paper weaving in the background with some scraps. I did some book page and some die cut hearts. I cut out "There's always something to be thankful for" and an image of a lovely vintage lady. And I did some sewing on my sewing machine. There's a little bit of trim behind that too. I got an eyelet down here in the corner, and that's the cover. Inside the cover, I made a little pocket with a scrap. And I have a journal card here, and that's just a scrap of some book page that I had left over that I put there. And a little kind of chiffon fabric ruffle at the top there. Here I have, I stamped a butterfly on some canvas and frayed my edges. Just added a bulb pin with some gold beads down here for adornment. And this is a pocket with another journal card. This is stenciling I did in the background. On this page, I made one of these little scrappy notebooks with several scrap papers I had on hand. I did some more machine stitching, and I have a kind of a glittery, blingy butterfly sticker on the front of that. On this page, I've got one of these expanding envelopes, and I've got items tucked into each one. I don't want to take the time to show every last little thing, or this video will be just too long, so I'm not going to do that. And this is a hidden paper clip, and I've got a journal card tucked under this piece right here, which also is another journaling spot. So that's going over the page here with this underneath and the hidden paper clip holding it all together. I'm going to go back and put that on later to save time. On this page, I've decorated it. This was a magazine image, and I just decorated the edge of this with kind of some fussy cuts and some flower brads. A little bit of, this is a die cut of some kind of crochet looking lace. On the inside here, I've got a double pocket. So I've got a pocket here with a journaling spot. And I've got, I'll put that on there for now. Another pocket back here with kind of a little coin envelope made out of some music paper that I stenciled on, and then I just tucked into there a piece of coffee dyed paper for journaling or drawing or doodling or making into something else. I've got a vellum envelope here that I put a die cut on. I actually did some glitter on this die cut too to make it kind of blingy. That's just a gold puffy sticker. I got those from the Dollar Tree. With a couple of little goodies tucked into that envelope. This is one of those little Matchbox scrappy little notepads. And that, I turned this envelope into another pocket that I have that tucked into. This is clipped onto here just for looks and embellishment. On this page I have a series of envelopes with something tucked into each one, little tags tucked into each one of these envelopes. And this is the middle. I left this sort of plain. This is the middle of the signature, and I have items in both of the pockets. Journaling spots. This is another little coin envelope with some items just collaged on the front, and then a number of items inside. Let me make sure I get everything. I think there's one more thing in there. This is actually like a little gusseted paper bag that I made out of some map paper. Journal card, a tea-dyed index card. This is just some dotted paper I had left over. This is one of those time card things, and those are all just tucked into this envelope. On the back of here, I have one of these waterfall elements, and you can see there's just tons of space here for writing, for drawing, doodling, collaging on. And this is just here to hold it down, and I just put this little tab at the bottom to kind of tuck that into to hold that all in place. And on the back side of this, I have a belly band with a journaling card. I've got an envelope here that I made out of some kind of old parchment paper that had, it was a torn up copy of the Declaration of Independence actually, and it was falling apart, so I just took what pieces I could salvage and made things out of it, and this is one of the things I made with a journaling spot. This is a stenciled coffee dyed, and I don't know if you can see the pattern on there. It's very subtle, that I have tucked in to that envelope. And this is one of those ribbon things that's just kind of adhered to the back. And then a pocket on this side with a journaling card. Another little bulb pin with just a little bead on the jump ring. This is a plastic pocket. I've got a tag tucked into that. I've got a video on how I made these tags. So easy and yet so beautiful, I think. So I'll link that below too if you're interested in going and looking at the video where I made those tags. This is the other side of that plastic pocket. And I just had some die cuts. I made like a little booklet to tuck into that pocket there. This is a paper clip tucking or holding on this journal card onto this page. And then, oh, this was tucked into there too. So this is, it's got a top pocket here with a tag and a side pocket here with another little tag. And then this is all just sewn onto the front for embellishment, and that was tucked into there too. And then this page I have kind of one of those top bands where you can tuck something over it to hold it in, and I just made another little notepad to stick in that slot. And here's the very last page. I put a couple of little mini vellum coin envelopes here with little tags, and then I just embellished the inside of the back cover with some collage items that I had laying around. And that is it for that piece. And that's just held together with this piece of ribbon. So I'm going to put that back together later. I'm going to try to move a little quicker. These two, I'll just show you one because they're very similar. Ring-bound little journals. These are, let's see, these are 4 by 4.5-ish. I collaged on the front. This is some of that Tim Holtz collage paper that I used, and then I used a little fussy cut and one of those faux wax seals. But that's what they look like on the covers. But I'm just going to show you one of them because they're very, very similar. Okay, collaging there, and throughout this, what I did was I used some paper bags, and I kind of cut them in half and used half of them and made pages out of them, pocket pages out of them. These are some cards that I made that I did some distress oxides and splatter paint on, and I put tabs on them. And then I also have throughout here just pieces of craft paper that are for journaling on or drawing on. But every other page is a bag, and then every other page is one of those craft paper pages. And now every paper bag page doesn't have something in it, but I think I put something in just about every other one. So I'm going to show you that real quick. And yeah, so I put a journal card in every other paper bag page and left the other ones empty for the owner of this someday to add to as they desire. So I'm just going to finish this real quick. I did some decorative edge punching on most of the craft paper pages. That one's little hearts. And scalloped edge there. Another little pocket page. So, yeah, I'm just going to flip through this and let you see. And the other one, like I said already, is very, very similar. Just like maybe some small differences in the decorating of it and some of the cards, but they're made exactly the same way. Okay, so that's those two. These two are also made the same way, same yet different, and they are just, this one's elastic bound with a button and a brad holding this elastic on. I have a little dragonfly charm there. And this is a kind of a soft cover, little mini journal. I've got a pocket here with a journal card in there and another one of those kind of 3D butterflies. And just a simple single signature with various papers in it. And this is just held in with some strands of yarn and other fibers. So these can be slipped out, other pages can be added in, and the inside of the covers is some kind of tie-dye fabric with butterflies on them. I think I picked that up at Joann's quite a while ago, and then I also took some of those butterflies and cut them out individually and adhered them. And this is sewn all the way around. I don't know if you can see that, with a zigzag stitch. So that's that one. This one's very similar. I just have one of these type of closures rather than the elastic. Similar type of construction except for the closure. And that's those two. Okay. This one is a tab bound journal, and I just have this kind of a closure, wraparound closure for this one, and a beautiful hummingbird image. I think I got that off of a greeting card. And this is a series of collaged envelopes that this is made out of. And you can see all the tabs. If you've never watched my video on tab binding, I also have a video on how to do that, and I'll link that below too. In case you're interested in learning how to do the tab binding, it's a really nice, interesting way to bind like individual pages, or in this case, envelopes. And then one nice thing about it is all the pages lay flat. You know, if you're writing or drawing or doodling or collaging on your page, it will lay flat for you. But this is the cover. You can see I did make the cover and back cover as well, just out of some chipboard, but I stenciled on it. The fabrics that I used are just some kind of florally fabric strips that I used for the binding. I've got an envelope on the inside here. It's just one of those that you kind of tuck under this to hold it closed. And it's a pocket here, and I've got some mushroom ephemera tucked into there. This has one of those flippy little journaling spot pages, and then it just closes like that. I did a little heart pocket here where I put some plastic, or I forget what that is. It's not vellum, it's some type of a plastic that I had over some music paper, which I stamped a couple of little butterflies on, and I turned that into a little tuck spot. I have a bookmark here and a little flippy notepad made out of some ledger paper there. And I've tucked something into each envelope. So I'm just going to show you that as I go through tags, journalings, papers, journaling cards. This one is a page of that crinkled and coffee dyed paper. I love the look of that. And that one's just tucked into there. In this one, I have clipped another envelope in the envelope, and I have a tag there, and this opens up, and I've put in here several pieces of decorative vellum that I got. I think I got these with Your Creative Studio subscription when I was getting that. I'm not getting that anymore. I put a halt on that because I was getting too much stuff and I wasn't using it as fast as I was getting it. So, but I believe that's where I got that vellum. I've used Edith Holden page, music page, book page, all kinds of scraps and papers to collage these envelopes with. A journal card here that I just sewed around. And then on the back cover here, this is one of those wax seals, or faux wax seals. And this just opens up. I've got a number of lovely items tucked into that. And I also turned the back into a pocket, top loading pocket, where I put another journaling card. Okay, so there's that one. And I've got two more here. Let's do this one next because it's very similar to the one I just did. I just have a kind of a different closure. I have an elastic closure here, and I just put a few beads on the end of that. But once again, I've got the collaged envelopes. I just sat down one day and collaged a bunch of envelopes for fun, and then I was like, well, what am I going to do with these? I don't know. Maybe I'll just make tab-bound journals out of them. So that's what I did. And I'm just going to run through this one quickly. I've got some embossed papers. So this one is very similar to that one I just showed you. Just different papers for journaling. And here's a little pocket I did with on the back of this one with some scraps in it. This piece right here is a piece of embossed vellum that I did. Half of it's embossed anyway. So this one is really geared towards somebody who wants to do like make their own ephemera and stuff, because all I have in here pretty much are extra pieces of various papers that can be embellished or made into other things. So is this a pocket? No, I don't think so. It's been a little since I made these, actually. I've been having them sitting around waiting for me to do something about them. And I guess today's the day. I'm gonna get them put on my Etsy shop. So that's that one. Like I said, these two were real similar with the collaged envelopes, tab bound. And then I have one more, and this one is bound with what's called the buttonhole stitch. And I have not made a video on how to do that. I watched somebody else's video, and I'll try to remember who that was, on how to do this kind of binding. But it's called the buttonhole stitch. You can probably just look it up in the search bar and find a tutorial on it. But I don't have one on this yet. I might do one someday. But what I did with this cover was I went to my Silhouette Cameo, and I just sent it through, and it cut out the word journal there on the front. And then I embellished it with a little bit of lace. I've got another one of those button and elastic closures with some beads. And on the inside here, I've got two little pockets. This one is kind of closed in the middle, because I put this button on here and I wanted to kind of secure it. So I have two kind of little side pockets on the inside of the cover, and I just put small things in there because I didn't want them getting in front of the word journal like that. So I wanted this to show through the word journal. This is one of my jelly print papers, and I've included a lot of those in this particular journal. It has 3 signatures. This was some brown paper that I just crinkled it up, and then I took some ink daubers and just kind of went over it with some, I think that's sepia ink, and then some metallic gold, and I sewed around it. And it's just clipped on actually to this page with this paper clip. I'm trying to be gentle so I don't. Oh, okay, I've got it under the stitch right there. I'm not gonna mess with that because I don't want to rip it, so I'll figure that out later. But I just added a little key charm to this paper clip, and then inside here I've got a couple of little journaling spots. And then I've used graph paper and just various papers throughout here. This is one of those pages that you kind of paste together like Frankenstein's monster, Franken pages. And tea-dyed. This is a pattern from an old sewing book. And that's the first signature. Second signature, I've got an envelope here as the first page. And inside this, I've got one of these junk mail envelopes that I kind of stenciled on with a tag inside. And that's in this envelope. More jelly print paper. I've got clipped onto the inside of this one a little tag, kind of a black and white theme tag, but with "The Lord is my strength and my shield," Psalm 28:7 on it. Tea-dyed paper. I've left plenty of space in this particular journal for writing, collaging, drawing, doodling, whatever it is you like to do. You can even paint on some of these papers. Okay. And then here's the other side of that envelope, which is another envelope. I just connected them in the middle. And I've got a journaling card in here. This was some of that modeling paste. It gives that a little bit of dimension. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Tucked into that envelope. Another one of my jelly print papers. More plain papers. This is a map page, so it's kind of folded. I was trying to use some map paper, obviously, and I didn't want to tear it, so I just folded it and sewed it in like that. Here's the other side of that map page, and I have actually a journaling card tucked in and clipped in that one, and on the back of this as well. This is one of those, it kind of flips out that way, and it flips out this way, and I used vellum. So it's kind of a tri-fold deal, but in the middle there's a pocket where I have a tag. And that was, I'll put that back in there. And that was tucked into there. Okay. And then the rest of it is just plain paper, ending with the other side of my jelly print paper. Thank you so much for joining me today. All of these items will be in my Etsy shop, so I'll put that link below if you're interested in hopping over there and checking any of these out. Thank you so much for watching today, and have a blessed day.